po sa inyo lahat. I'll start with this figure which shows the fisheries production from 2002 to 2018. So the dark blue line represents seaweed production. So yun yung pinakamataas nating production sa marine. And then the light blue line represents the commercial capture fisheries catch. So 2018, slightly less than 1 million tons a year. Almost the same amount yung municipal catch. Municipal catch is fish caught within 15 kilometers from the coast. So halos 50-50 yung marine capture fisheries and sa commercial at saka sa municipal. And the green line is aquaculture. So what is striking here is that since 2010, seaweed production, marine commercial, marine municipal fisheries has been going down. Aquaculture na lang yung umaakyat. Look at our population growth rate. We're growing at 1.7% per year. By 2018, there will be an estimate based on the 2015 census that's about 106 million population in 2018. Sabi ng BIFAR, average Filipino will consume 38 kilograms of fish a year. So that's total fish requirement of 4 million tons. We are only producing 2.8. Deficit natin is more than 1 million tons, and this is an amount that cannot even be supplied by commercial fishing. No? What is even more worrying is that the population is increasing by 1.7%, but our fish production is decreasing by 0.6% per year. We have a 50% shortfall in fish production. That's like 40 million Filipinos will need to stop eating fish and start eating chicken instead. So my presentation will be to summarize the talks that were given during the regional science meetings in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and relate that with the presentation that was given by our speaker today. During the Visayas RSM, the first talk was given by Dr. Geronimo, who looked at climate change effects on our fisheries. And he did this by getting climate data from climate models, which for the Philippines shows increasing temperatures by about half a degree in the next 30 years. So 2050 would be warmer by about half a degree for most of the country, particularly in the south. And he looked at different species, looked at their preferred temperature ranges or preferred habitat conditions, and related that with the increasing, changing environment, and got estimates of how much the preferred habitats of specific organism or specific fish species would increase or decrease by 2050. The figures on the right shows the projected suitable habitat of yung dilis, a species of anchovy, Stolophoros. So sa 2000, yung blue niyan, yun yung preferred habitat ng dilis. 2050, nawala na yung blue. So we have a reduction of habitats and came up with a list of different species and by how much their habitats would decrease or increase by 2050. So yung nasa pinakataas, yung bulinaw or parang dilis din siya, by 2050, 30% na lang yung extent ng kanyang habitat. So malaki yung impact, pero ang recommendations niya is that these estimates were made using very simple models. And we need to understand better the interaction or the dynamics between the fish and its environment. We also need to act now. We don't have to wait for the climate to change before we do something about it. And invest in improving our science, reduce the uncertainties. Filipinos are not very good in monitoring. We do not have very long-term data sets, and we need to expand and invest in monitoring programs. So the other speaker was Dr. Mamawag from CIFDEC. He was looking at aquaculture. Aquaculture is seen to supply the shortfall in capture fisheries. And this figure here on the left is the global fish meal production, and a majority of the global fish meal production is used in aquaculture. So we are actually feeding fish with fish, no? So it's hardly sustainable. No? So what they're looking at is exploring alternatives for fish meal. So they've done a lot of studies using plant products, copra, kahit water hyacinth as substitute for fish meal. Their goal is to reduce the use of fish meal and fish oil and explore the most efficient conversion of nutrients. But it has also to be environmentally sensible and sustainable. During the Luzon RSM meeting, we had two presentations about aquaculture. One is by Dr. Menyes, who looked at two of the most important commercially important invertebrates, the sea urchin and the sea cucumber. These are high value and has a very high demand. That's why most of our national stocks have been depleted. And so she developed hatchery culture technology, developed this culture-based resource management, where they use hatchery culture to fast-track the increase in population. So making recovery of natural stocks faster than just leaving them alone. And they've done some examples of this in Bolinao, and they are scaling up some of their experiments nationwide. The major challenges in this approach is how to scale up so that you gain long-term ecological and equitable socioeconomic benefits and establishing and sustaining good governance systems. The other presentation was by Dr. McLone, who looked at the environmental impacts of mariculture. Sustainable mariculture translates to environmental sustainability. Mariculture has a very large impact on the environment because of the feeds, the waste. It has caused serious environmental problems in our major mariculture areas in Bolinao, Pangasinan, in Dagupan, even in Taal and Laguna Lakes. She showed some learnings from the Bolinao experience and how investigations on how to estimate carrying capacity for mariculture should be done. She also recommended exploring feed quality and feed practices to reduce the waste, and also to monitor water quality, which should be a basis for estimating carrying capacity. Again, nandun pa rin na naman ang strong political will to implement the rules. So sa Coronadal, during the Mindanao RSM, si Academician Santos nag-present ng WTF, where's the fish? But he talked about the large oceanic pelagic species, lalo na yung mga tuna stocks. He showed some assessments made by the West and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission, where every year they send out stock status and advice on the state of the stocks for the different species. So yung mga, for example, yung mga naka-highlight in pink are the species that are already overfished. We also showed some examples of extinction risk assessment for some of the stocks in the Philippines, where they can classify different stocks, whether they're vulnerable, threatened, or okay pa yung kanilang status. The recommendations made by Academician Santos was to implement marami ng management plans na nagawa for tuna, for sharks and rays. Kailangan talaga ng good governance and political will. Na-establish na rin yung mga FMAs or fisheries management areas, so we need to support that and apply ecosystem approach to fisheries management. Academician Montaño also presented a talk about the Philippine seaweed industry, and he gave a presentation also today highlighting the importance of the seaweed industry and what we need to do to sustain or make the seaweed industry sustainable. As we've shown in the first slide, kahit nga ngayon, our seaweed production is already decreasing, and so we need to act now. This is a slide from our speaker, and na-disturb talaga ako doon sa figure sa upper right, which is the catch rates na municipal fisheries. Since the 1980s, fisher can catch more than 40 kilos in a day. Nasa edge nung graph, which is next year, parang nasa zero na. So, ina-highlight lang talaga niya na our fisheries stocks are really overfished. Nasa critical state na, and we need to make very difficult sacrifices. We need to let the overfished stocks to recover, and to do that, we need to reduce fishing pressure. We need to catch less fish so that more fish will be able to reproduce. Thank you very much.